Hi guys, Mrs. Kohler here. Today we're going to do section 5.3, writing proportions. So make sure you have your guided notes out. If not, go ahead and write this down on a piece of notebook paper. If you need to pause the video to find your notes, this is what they look like. 5.3, writing proportions at the top, and example 1 with a black bean soup recipe and a chart to go ahead and fill in. All right. So when we work out example 1, writing a proportion, it says a chef increases the amounts of ingredients in a recipe to make a proportional recipe. The new recipe has 6 cups of black beans. Write a proportion that gives the number of X of tomatoes in the new recipe. So this might sound dumb, like when will we ever do this? But I'm sure at some point, someone you know, or possibly even yourself, will be making Christmas cookies, and maybe you want to double the batch or triple the batch or whatever. All right, so you want to do that proportionally so that you don't have like a ton of butter and not enough flour and all sorts of stuff like that. It would be a mess, okay? Now, in our chart, we have the ingredients right here, and we have the original recipe and the new recipe columns right there. All right, so in the first box, top left corner, right here, that's where we're going to put the original recipe amount of black beans. So if we look at our recipe to the left here is how many black beans are in the recipe. So 1.5 cups. So we're going to do 1.5 right there in the box. Make sure that you write down into this chart here too so that you can follow along. All right. Now, also in the original recipe, we need the amount of tomatoes. So look at your recipe. Right here it has that the original recipe calls for 1 tomato. So we're just going to put a 1 in that box. Now, we have filled in the column for original recipe right here. Now, for the new recipe, we have to reread the problem to kind of figure out where those numbers are coming from. So under new recipe, the first box there is for black beans. And if you look, the new recipe has 6 cups of black beans. So I'm going to put 6 right there. All right. Then tomatoes, that's what we don't know. All right, that's kind of like what we would have to figure out. So because we don't know it, we're going to put a variable, and it says put X. All right, so 1.5 for original amount of black beans, 1 for original amount of tomatoes, and then in the new recipe, 6 cups of black beans, and we don't know how many tomatoes. All right, so when we write our proportion, because it wants us to write a proportion for this, it's going to be super easy since we have the table. It's just going to be 1.5 over 1 equals 6 over X. All right, so remember, a proportion looks like a fraction equals a fraction, and to get the numbers in our fractions, we literally just took them the exact same order out of our table. All right, so the 1.5 is on top, the 1 is on the bottom, the 6 is on the top, the X is on the bottom. Make sure you put an equal sign between the two fractions. All right, that is super important. So that is how you write a proportion, especially if you have a table to start with. So in the next example, for example 2, we're going to figure out how to solve these proportions, which I'm sure we've done before, but like I said, super easy. Example 2, we have 3 over 2 equals X over 8. This problem right here. All right, so what we want to do is cross multiply. I like to cross with our variable first, so I'm going to do 2 times X, which gives me 2X. All right, now you want an equal sign, and then when we cross the other way, 3 times 8 is 24. All right, so you cross one way and you multiply, equals, and then you cross the other way and multiply. Now, we have to solve this. So if you want, draw a line down the middle. If you have 2 times x, think to yourself, what's the opposite of multiplying by 2? That would be dividing by 2. So we're dividing both sides by 2. Our 2's cancel. X equals 24 divided by 2 is 12. All right, so that is our answer. X equals 12. Example 3 said in example 1, how many tomatoes are in the new recipe? So let's think about what our proportion was that we wrote. We had 1.5 over 1 equaled 6 over x. If you just look up at example 1, that's where I got those numbers from. That's what we wrote down for our answer for example 1 when we had to write the proportion. Now, like I said, I like to cross with our x first, or whatever our variable is. So if I cross it this way, I have 1.5 times x, which is 1.5x equals, and then we're going to cross the other way. All right, 6 times 1 is 6. Now, just like before, change colors of my pen, we're going to have to go ahead and solve for this. So, line down the middle. The opposite of multiplying by 1.5 is dividing by 1.5. Now, you guys might be freaking out at this point because you're like, 6 divided by 1.5? I don't know what that is. Well, you have a calculator, or you can pull one up. Those 1.5's cancel, and we just have x equals, plug that into your calculator, and hopefully you got 4. All right. Yes, I did that in my head, but I'm like a math genius, so it comes with the territory. All right. So in example 1, when it says how many tomatoes are in the new recipe, our new recipe would call for 4 tomatoes. All right. You guys have some on your own problems. So you're solving the proportions for 3, 4, and 5. Number 6, you want to write and solve a proportion to find the number of students who are female. And what I want you to do, since this is already on your guided notes, pause the video, work these 4 problems out, and then hit play again and check your answers, because we'll go over all of this, okay? All right, so if you're back on the video, hopefully you already worked all of these out. Let's go through and work out number 3. So that would give us 5D. Sorry, that's a funky looking 5. Close enough. All right. Equals, cross the other way, and we get 160. All right. Divide both sides by 5. Those 5's cancel, and you should end up with D equals, there we go, and then 32. Sorry, I ran out of room on my slide a little bit when I wrote that. So D equals 32 should be your answer for that one. All right, number 4, I'm going to cross this way first, and I get 14Z equals 70. All right, divide both sides by 14, and Z equals, sorry, my equal signs are not working out today. Z equals 5. All right. Then number 5, same thing. We are going to cross this way. So we get 24x equals, and then when we cross this way, 168, if my calculator brain is working correctly. All right, divide both sides by 24. Again, if you don't have a calculator, you could have pulled one up on another tab. The 24's cancel, x equals 7. There we go. All right, so 3 is d equals 32, 4 is z equals 5, and 5 is x equals 7. Now, down for number 6. It says a school has 950 students. The ratio of female students to all students is 48 over 95, or 48 to 95. Write and solve a proportion to find the number f of students who are female. So if we have, they already gave us 48 over 95. All right, and that represents female students to all students. So I'm going to write female and total equals, now we need another fraction. So 950 students, that's the total. Would that go on the top or the bottom? If you put it on the bottom, you would be correct. All right. Now, F is the number of female students in the whole school. That is what we're trying to figure out. All right. So once you've cross multiplied and divided, you should have gotten F equals 480. All right. So they have 480 female students altogether in that school. All right. Now, on the back of these guided notes, you have a worksheet. All right. The worksheet is not difficult. It's exactly like these. If you need a copy of the worksheet, go talk to the sub or talk to me if I'm in the room. So then you can get a copy of the worksheet if you had to write all this down on notebook paper. All right. Good luck. If you have questions, maybe ask someone around you quietly or shoot me an email. Either way is fine. I might not get back to you right away, but I'll try and get back to you in the same day. So good luck with this, and I will see you guys soon.